Oh, would you look at that? The theater kid is back in front of the camera. Can we take a short moment to... I am wearing a cookie. Hello, or hello again. I made us some tea. With us, I mean myself. I recently published a list of 24 things to let go of and release for the new year, to hopefully also stay that way over on my Substack. And I won't go into the whole list of 24 in this video, but I am going to give you my top 10 of the 24 things that I wrote, and if you're interested, you can always check out my Substack under the same name, Hunt for Orion, and you'll find it there under 24 Stones Lighter. And I called it 24 Stones Lighter because that's a lot of weight, look it up. And secondly, because I like the imagery of a worn out traveler with a little stick over their shoulder and like a jangly knotted cloth bag full of stones that they've accumulated over the year. God, we're all tired. It's winter. We deserve some rest, and we deserve to let go of weight and things that no longer serve us. So why not drop a few of those stones and carry on along the way? Tea sip for lubrication. Let's get into it. The first stone I want to let go of is the feeling of being ready before doing the scary thing. Personally, I know I'm not going to be living a conventional life. I'm an artist, I'm a musician, I'm a writer, and I'm terrified. I'm terrified of being seen. But if I don't put myself out there and prove to myself that I'm worthy of being seen, nobody's ever going to see me. I know I've already grown a lot as an artist in this aspect just because I'm getting more comfortable with how I talk about the work that I do, and that is by calling it work. It's not just a hobby, it's not just a silly little thing I do. I put work into things. I put work into recording. I put work into writing my music. I put work into writing scripts and blog posts, and that is work. And it feels good to believe that it is deserving of that title, work. Now, I don't think I'll be ready for every opportunity that comes my way. I think that is unrealistic because there will always be something that I need to first grow into. And that's okay. I'm ready to be scared and to do it anyway. And that applies to not just creative work. That applies to any scary thing that you might think you still need to be ready for before you do it. But you don't. You really don't. I got myself a little witch's pot. A cauldron, that's what it's called. And I'm going to put stones in here, symbolically. So this was the first stone. And I let go of the fear of failure. The second stone, the stranglehold of control. I should say that with so much pizzazz. This one is an ambitious stone to drop for me. I'm sure there will be many times in 2025 that I will backtrack and walk all the way back and try and pick up that stone again because I know what that weight feels like. It's very comfortable even if it's heavy. And I suppose that's kind of it because trying to control people or life situations gives me a sort of illusion of control. We wouldn't have picked up those stones along the way if we didn't believe that they were useful to us. But I am realizing that the weight is really just too much for me to carry, especially this one, because no amount of control will ever make me feel at peace with my life, will make me feel content. It will merely squeeze the life out of life, if you will. The stranglehold of control leaves no air to breathe, no space for life to simply unfold and to surprise me. It might alleviate my experience of stress for a moment, but it will never sustainably relieve it. Instead, I want to choose to be kind to myself and to not beat myself up if I do see myself walking back and trying to pick it up, because I know that this is something that I've struggled with all my life. What I will do, though, is check in with myself, be honest with myself, and ask, is this weight serving me in the long term? We're back to our cauldron. I let go of control. Scary. The life I thought I would have. So, turns out I'm autistic. Who would have guessed? Along with that revelation comes grieving the life that I believed that I would have, only to realize that it's not sustainable and not meeting my needs at all. Much of this process went hand in hand with me dropping my mask and noticing that I had no idea who I was, I had no idea what I wanted or what I needed, what I wanted, what I needed. And I'm putting stress on this because my whole life, along with people-pleasing tendencies, I tried to create a life that matched up with what people told me I should want. But that is not what I want. That's very different. It can match up. Not to say that it can't be that way for you. For me, I just noticed those were not my thoughts. Those were not my wants. Those were not my needs. And I had no idea how to make sure that I was listening to myself and living my life. And live my life in a way that wouldn't just burn me out. So there were things post-life shift, call it when the Fire Nation attacked, or just when I ceased functioning the way that I used to for some miraculous undiagnosed reason. Autism spectrum disorder, that seemed to have fundamentally regressed or changed, be it no longer being able to ignore sensory difficulties that would inevitably lead to a meltdown, or suddenly having a very concrete reason for all of my interpersonal issues, other than just believing I was an awful person and an asshole for existing. Or even looking more autistic because I started letting myself stim in less concealed ways. So with that came dropping out of university and straight into therapy. And 3 years later, I can finally say that I can see life having a future for me again, which is great. Honestly great. Like, not great just in the good job way, but great. Grand. So much has opened up, and I couldn't be more grateful for my past self for just trying that one more time. I was really at my end and had been looking for therapists for over a year at that point, and just tried that one more time and finally found somebody that I actually clicked with. So thank you to my past self, and if you are needing that little push to go try and talk to somebody who's a professional, then this is that push. Do keep in mind, not everyone is going to match well with you. It is a relationship, however artificial. It is a relationship, and so you're kind of going to have to think of therapist hunting like dating. You have to make sure that you can see eye to eye, that you can talk comfortably with each other, or else, yeah, it's just not going to help you and you're just going to feel worse. I let go of the expectation of a life not suited to me. The fourth stone, self-neglect. As someone who's had to deal with crippling abandonment issues, it is honestly ironic and astounding how much of that abandonment sprung from my own relationship to myself. Some questions that might help you see if you're neglecting or abandoning yourself are: how often do you sit with yourself, your own needs, your own emotions, as opposed to those of others? Do you care more about whether you are liked as opposed to if you even like the person that you're wondering about? Do you put more effort into another person's life and putting yours on hold? This self-neglect can show up as putting one's focus outside of oneself, as really nasty self-punishing behavior, or maybe even as disrespecting boundaries that you yourself have set up. So maybe these questions could help you feel a little more connected with yourself. Me, I no longer wish to abandon myself, and I choose to be there for myself and to prioritize my own needs and goals. That was getting heavy. Yes, man, when it should be, man, no. There's only so many things we can say yes to before we overcommit, before we stretch ourselves too thin. We need to say no to false urgency. Does this thing really, really need fixing right now? If no, perhaps it's best to reconvene. Or maybe we need to focus on honoring our own energy levels and staying true to them, especially if it's something that we would love to do, but we simply do not have the time and resources for, emotionally, mentally, physically, whatever it applies to you. Again, if you need permission to disappoint somebody, disappoint them. You will not do yourself or them any favors by begrudgingly going and doing the thing anyway. Ask if you can make up for canceling plans somehow, and prioritize your own needs. If there is someone you really should not be disappointing, it's yourself. With that, I let go of loads that I cannot or do not want to carry. Believing I can hate myself into a better version of myself. I have come to terms with the fact that I am not the type to grow under harsh conditions. Unlike dandelions who will gladly eat up the asphalt and the gravel to prove that they can burrow into the ground beneath, roots stronger than the shovels trying to dig them up, and if snapped, only rising sturdier and more plentiful than before. I, as much as I poetically preferred wildflowers, have way more in common with the sensitive houseplant that you only need to look at wrong or sneeze in the vicinity of. It's not that I don't know how to handle criticism. It is the way in which the criticism is communicated that can either help me flourish or make me wilt. Once a boss told me that he wanted to snap my neck because of the way that I stored mint and how disappointed in me he was for how I handled that task. Am I sensitive? Yes. Do I have the right to tell him that I do not respond to this kind of feedback, and that if he would like me to continue working for him, that I would appreciate if he worded his criticism in a less violent way? Yes. Is it really so hard to say, hey, you stored the mint wrong. Please pay attention next time because this is important. Thank you. Apparently. And yes, I quit that job, but that is besides the point. Long story short, if I finally have the strength and integrity to stand up to a stranger and to tell them that this is no way to treat me, why can I not apply that same backbone to how I treat myself? I will never hate or abuse myself into a better version of myself. Once more, for the rats, the raccoons, the everybody who's in the back and stuffing their mouths full of trash, you will not hate yourself into a better version of yourself. I would much rather honestly and gently correct myself, not sugarcoating, but also not wanting to snuff the life out of myself for a simple to correct mistake. I choose to treat myself with honesty and care. The seventh stone, a false idea about healthy relationships. I think we should normalize not feeling guilty or crazy or too existential about not being 100% happy with our relationships all of the time. Mind you, this is coming from somebody with relationship OCD, so maybe I'm just talking to myself, which is also good and a little insane. But oh my god, please just come to terms with not liking your loved ones sometimes. How much more easeful my life would be if I could just admit to myself that I don't like something the same way my loved ones can tell me, hey, I didn't like that thing you did. Can you maybe next time do this instead? We both have the right to do that. It's completely fine. But for some reason, when it comes to me and my relationships to others, that just wasn't okay. And that was something that I recently noticed, which I wanted to change. I think this might be more, I don't know if acceptable is right, but more common in blood relative dynamics. But even the people we choose to be around are not going to do exactly what we want them to do all the time. And that's fine. That would be so boring. Maybe it would be best to simply accept that you can love somebody very deeply and just not like them right now. I'm not saying that you have to hope that they will change someday, because that just turns into a different kind of toxic relationship. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with noticing that you don't like something, communicating it. Of course, you can hope that the other person will be very willing and ready to accept and do the thing differently. And if they don't, maybe that's another stone to drop. Unfortunately, I let go of the unrealistic standards that I've been taught about my relationships. Yapping to save my life. If you knew me and we ever had a conflict or a disagreement, you would know that I would generally be the type to try and fix it right now. But I learned that sometimes, against all fear, it is better to assure that it will be solved and simply walk away. To take a breather for 10 minutes. Maybe you do a meditation, maybe you journal, maybe you do some EFT if that's your jam. Or maybe even distract yourself entirely with something that has absolutely nothing to do with the issue you're currently facing. And that helps you calm down, come back to a more level baseline. The power you hold and the security that you will feel in your relationships when you know you can leave for a short time, come back regulated, and meet your loved ones more calmly and ready to listen is immense. I know I'm saying this like it's a huge scientific discovery, because honestly for me it was a big revelation, so I hope maybe you can get something out of this too. I let go of the need to fix everything right away, especially if my nervous system is dysregulated. This one. Not forgiving myself. Whenever I mess up, which I am still coming to terms with the fact that inevitably I will mess up, I will disappoint people, I am usually the last person to forgive myself. It is one thing to make sure I take accountability for my wrongdoings, and an entirely different thing to continue to beat myself up for something that I can do nothing about other than move on. I need to learn that the feeling of guilt is only helpful as long as it motivates me to change for the better. So with this, I let go of guilt as a means for self-punishment. I forgive myself. We've made it to our last stone. Alas, our last stone. Like I said, I'm not going to fool myself into believing that I'm going to be perfect at this, that I'm never going to try and backtrack and scour where I've already walked for the stones that I've dropped to try and pick them up again because they're familiar. Because I don't know what it's like to live a life full of lightness and ease, and that is scary, and that is okay. I don't know what it's like to tread lightly, to not leave the forest floor I travel along indented with my historically very heavy steps, and that is okay. I want to learn, and I'm sure I will. I am looking forward to taking you along with me as my virtual accountability buddies, to keep you updated on where I might fall back into unhelpful patterns, and how I again and again, and easier each time, let go of these stones, to see how I improve each new day of the new year. I let go of the belief that it is all or nothing. My growth is not black and white. I'm growing every day. Here's to a light and easeful 2025. It looks like I'm about to drink this. I'm not. So, turns out 24 stones is actually a lot of weight. More than 150 kilograms, or for the metrically challenged, 336 pounds. That's a lot. I hope you found something on this list that helped you feel seen and supported, and to give you a little bit of strength as we all get ready to face the new year. And if you'd like, please comment which stones you would like to let go of below. Think of the comment section as your own little cauldron, if you will. If not, don't, but maybe still comment. All right, much love. Bye-bye.